Here beside me is the 2022 Mazda 3 Turbo. Is it fast? Yes. Is it all-wheel drive? Yes. Does it look good? Yes. But is it a Mazdaspeed3? No. Am I the only one who misses those cars, that generation of aggressive front-wheel drive, manic kind of driving experience from Mazda? I know I can't be the only one, so here today, I've got the 2022 Mazda 3 Turbo, and I'm gonna tell you exactly why this should have been the next generation Mazdaspeed3. This was Mazda's big opportunity to really recapture and re-identify that brand, yet they didn't. Why didn't they do that? Let's go for a drive and let's see why this really should have and ultimately could have been the new Mazdaspeed3. What better way to start off this video than with launch control? Just kidding, we don't have launch control. But what we do have, what I have, is 2 feet. So I'm gonna do a little bit of a brake boost and we will hit the gas. Put it in sport mode, which is very simple, just a switch on the center console here, that's Tupac. On the center console here, we'll hit it into sport. And all that happens, it's very simple, little sport in writing comes up on the dash, and that's it. That's the only indication we get. There's no fancy graphics or gauge change on the gauge cluster here, which is the first indication that this is not a very exciting fast car. It's a fast car, but it's not a very exciting, fast car. So let's go for a drive. Huge load up. Quite a bit of wheel spin coming from the front there, and then we're off. Then it just hooks up. Of course, the Mazda 3 Turbo is all-wheel drive. Now, our first point here is, of course, that we can't get the Mazda 3 Turbo in a manual transmission. You cannot pair this 2.5-liter turbocharged inline-4 with a manual transmission. That's the first indication that it's not a Mazdaspeed3, and I've driven both the first generation and second generation Mazdaspeed3s, and they are exceptionally fun. If you pair that up against, a Fiesta ST, a Focus ST, in modern times, a Veloster N, they're very manic cars. Very simple formula: high-strung, small displacement, turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, LSD front-wheel drive, some torque steer to spice things up a little bit, and there you have your fun, dailyable hot hatch. And that's what the Mazdaspeed3 was. That was, 2007 to 2013. And 2013, they were even pushing it, in my opinion. Mazda was pushing the envelope of what was really youthfully kind of acceptable at the time for a hot hatch. That era was slowly slipping away, and Mazda had a very important decision to make. Were they going to try and compete with that? Were they going to up the boost? Were they gonna continue to put an LSD in the front, maybe trim down the interior a little bit, or at least just kind of keep it on par, and then just go all out when it comes to performance and theater of that experience? Or, that's Tupac again, or were they going to do what they eventually did, what they inevitably did, which is here create something that is made to compete with the Germans? But what they did do was what came across through all Mazda products, which is this interior. On the GT model, you get real leather seats here, 10-way adjustable seats with memory. You get adjustable lumbar, but just an interior that's a great place to be. It's a little less busy than some of its other Japanese counterparts, such as, wow, huge negative G over that hill there. Took it very well, which actually brings us to the suspension, which is totally way more compliant than the Mazdaspeed3 was. It's a comfortable car. There is no adaptive suspension here. It is one suspension setting in sport. What does change, of course, is the throttle response, which is course, drive-by-wire at this point in time, as well as the steering feel. That is actually one of the changes that they made from 2020 to 2021, was a slight change in the steering feel, and I felt it pretty immediately. It's got a little bit more weight to it. Should we do another launch? It's a fast car. This here is the crux of this dilemma. 250 horsepower here, 320 pound-feet of torque, which, if you do compare this to other vehicles, this isn't direct competition to the GTI, but we can put this in the same conversation as the GTI. Way more torque. It has way more torque than a comparable Mercedes, the CLA, or the A-Class, the A35, A45, as far as the Veloster N goes, which is right around the same price, $38,000 Canadian. This has way more torque, 40 pound-feet more than the Veloster N. Yes, it does weigh about 200 pounds more than that car. It feels like, especially in torque delivery and power band, it feels so beyond what the Mazdaspeeds were, that all Mazda really needed to do here was a couple of things in today's changed modern market to create a new rebirth of the Mazdaspeed brand. The first being adaptive suspension. Doesn't need it, but it could have been that. It's still soft here. There's quite a bit of body roll. The second is a manual transmission. Third thing is a little bit more steering feel. It's precise, it feels great. The car as a whole feels solid. It feels like you can push it fairly hard. But the limiting factor here, for a fourth point, are the tires. The Mazda 3 Turbo is only spec'd with 215 wide tires all the way around, which is not something that really shines, makes this car shine and the dynamics shine at the limit. Another thing, the seats. Just more bolstering. When we look at the Veloster N, it has crazy seats. When we look at the WRX, it has more aggressively bolstered seats. And this has more torque than both of those cars. They are pumping in a little bit of exhaust noise through the speakers here, and it's got like a deep growl to it already. It's a higher displacement inline four. It's a 2.5 liter, and it has a bit of a growl. Where does the Golf R sit? The Golf R is about $6,000 more expensive than the Mazda 3 Turbo. This would have, with all of the above, and even maybe bumping it up a little bit more in power, this would have set it exactly alongside the Golf R. What competes with the Golf R? Not much, because it is so expensive. That's exactly it. I think this interior is just about on par with the Golf R. I haven't sat in the new Golf R, but that's where the Mazda 3 Turbo could have been. It's so close. It looks the part. It's got the interior, it's got the power, it's got the torque. That's the funny thing. The ironic part is this would actually completely dust both of the original Mazdaspeed 3s. In straight line speed, in raw grip, because it does have all-wheel drive, and even though this weighs 200 pounds more than the original, I suspect that even on a track, and even though this was equipped with slightly less advantageous tires to the situation, it would probably lap a track much quicker than the original. It's undeniable this car's faster. It's quicker. It may not be as nimble. In fact, it absolutely doesn't feel as nimble, but it feels 100 times more refined and 100 times more stable. There's room here if Mazda really wants to head up market towards those European cars. Why not go toe-to-toe with the Golf R? I mean, what other manufacturer right now is going toe-to-toe with the Golf R? It could have still been a more refined, more adult version, but to be able to redefine what Mazdaspeed3 meant, I think was just a huge missed opportunity here, and I don't see Mazda making a turbocharged all-wheel drive manual hatch ever again, which is sad. But of course the ND Miata still exists, the MX-5. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, and of course subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell if you want to see more. I've got a few fun cars coming up. We'll see you guys very soon.